I remember there was that 60 Minutes female anchor lead that was at the Arab Spring, I think in Cairo, and she was there with a camera crew, and she got abducted and like raped, in a whole crowd, and like
Yeah.
barely got back, and was like, it was bad. And she talked about it later, but like, broken bones, beat up, gang raped, all that stuff that happened, maybe not broad daylight, but in front of hundreds of people, because it's just this mob mentality clicked, and it was just like, wow, scary to probably just to see
Yeah.
that kind of thing happen in a place where,
Yeah. That was
you know,
Laura Logan,
yeah, it was
right?
Laura Logan,
And
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and so on the cultural awareness, I mean, she didn't know it, but what she did is in that crap in that because men and women, even in the protests, were separated, right?
yeah,
And there was like a small fence line, and even in the middle of being punched and raped, she was constantly just moving towards the women,
oh yeah,
moving. And then once she fell over that fence line, those women grabbed her, pulled her, and surrounded her, and then protected her for until she got help. Whether she knew it or not, but she was certainly kind of that cultural awareness piece, right? She was
yeah.
just trying to get, to where she knew she'd be safe, not even knowing that, right? I mean, it was, that's a crazy, horrible story.
It's a horrible story, but also cultural awareness. I mean, look, I guess the media's job is to push it, but also, being culturally aware to enough to know that, maybe her being there also was more dangerous than
Yeah.
she had thought as well, and probably dangerous for an American reporter to be there as a male, and then now the female, and then boom, boom, I guess in hindsight. So, yeah, that's heavy stuff. Wanted to ask you real quick, Clint. There was something that happened really recently in Korea, I think last weekend, where 150 people are trampled to death in this narrow alleyway in Seoul. And I
Hmm.
remember I read about it, and there were literally people. It was a Halloween thing, I think. There were other people having drinks, 10 meters away, that had no idea it was happening. So you got people being trampled to death, like you said, over here, 10 meters over here, and people, doing shots of tequila in this place, not even aware it's happening over here. And I was wondering if you looked into that situation and had any thoughts. Again, this is about it happening right in your own backyard in a street that people probably walk down 100 times, and yet all of a sudden now it's a death zone. Did you have any post-mortem thoughts on that?
Yeah, and in fact, in one of my 100 Deadly Skill books, I cover like how to survive a stampede. I mean, it's it happens in a lot of different environments, a lot of concerts, right?
Yeah,
It's usually it's basically death by suffocation is how it is usually
scary.
the yeah, and you're crushed to death. I mean, it's just horrible way to go. So some skills is if you find yourself right, you've got to find the borders. Anytime you have this body of people moving in a certain direction, you don't want to try and go against the grain. You want to get to the borders of it and then exit as quickly as possible. In those channelized areas, it's really important, one, stay on your feet, almost in a fighting stance, like shuffling, right? And then hands up, almost like if you're boxing, and your elbows extend down just below your rib cage. Your hands are up protecting your face. And what you're actually doing is one, yeah, you're kind of creating a gap in your own in your personal space. But if you do unfortunately fall, you're putting your hands and everything in place to keep your lungs open so that you can actually keep breathing no matter how many people are running across your back. And then you can get your hands up and protect your head too at the same time. But concerts are usually the place where a lot of this happens. Where the front rows, there's fencing, there's barricades, right? And so you also want to look out for all of those hard and invisible thresholds. Like if there's a police line, right? You want to stay away from that, obviously. But barricades and walls, you want to stay away from those because you're just going to get pressed up against it. Obviously, fence lines, all of those permanent features become crushing zone sites, and then to include the ground. So it's a three-dimensional world. You've got the people, you've got the ground, and then you've got all the walls and obstacles around you. And it's volatile. And then when one person falls and starts screaming and others start, then it's just this frenzy. People are just trying to get out of that area as quickly as possible. But unfortunately, when it's channelized like that, now everyone's running over the same exact spot, and those people that are on the ground, unfortunately, the ones that did survive, they're lucky, right?
And it's crazy. It can happen like right in your own backyard. Like that didn't happen in some football stadium in Ethiopia that was like 50 years old. It happened in a, major first world country, in some alleyway off of Seoul that nobody would have ever expected to happen. And 150 people died. It wasn't small. The same thing happened, I think, in Israel a while back as well, with like near the Wailing Wall. There was like the trampoline there as well. And there's a famous thing that happened in the UK maybe 10, 20 years ago. I think it was called Hillsborough, where all these people got crushed in a football stadium. So it can happen quickly, probably because humans, it's dynamic, it's out of control, there's panic, maybe there's alcohol involved, and then bad situations happen.
Yeah. Well, you nailed it. I mean, that, like I said, that fear and that panic piece, it just gets contagious, and then people start freaking out. And they really just get 100% concerned about their own life and not worried about anyone's life around them. And that's dangerous.
Right, because they get destructive that way, right?
Yes.
Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's also been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just an overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you got to pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.